Well, yesterday was the 4th of July. Today, I went and picked up a few groceries, and what did I find in the store but butternut squash, already cleaned, no seeds, all chopped into little chunks, and I'm like, yes, I could really eat some butternut squash soup. Now, in Pennsylvania Dutch times, they would call these like a neck pumpkin. But this is a really meaty kind of squash, and it just makes a wonderful soup. So I was really excited to find it. And to get started, of course, you're going to need a pan to put your soup in. And you want to put in 2 tablespoons of butter, or if you prefer, olive oil, depending on what your health and likes are. And next they call for 3/4 of a cup of onion. Now, I happen to be out of onions, so I'm going to substitute onion powder or salt, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to put in a teaspoon. Now, if this were an onion, you would want to put this onto your stove and kind of saute that onion for about 3 minutes. And then once that's done, we're going to add our butternut squash. That is so convenient. And then the next thing we're going to do is, if you have an apple, and an apple really just adds something to it. If you don't have an apple and you have apple juice, you could substitute some apple juice. But I happen to have an apple, so I'm just peeling it here. Once you get it going, it's not so bad. It's getting it started that's the toughest part. And then you want to cut that apple into chunks as well. So I have my little cutting board off to the side here. And I already staged the other half of the apple and had that ready already. Whoops, peeled. So here we're going to put our apples in. I have 1 or 2 chunks on my lap. We'll just pick those up and throw those in too. We need 14 ounces. It could be a can, but I got this box which has like 32 ounces, so I had to measure it out. But we need 14 ounces of chicken broth, and you want to get that in there. We're going to go back here and get 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then 1 teaspoon of ginger. Now, the other ingredient that we need to pull this all together is either 1/3 of a cup of some sort of citrus. It could be orange juice, lemon juice, lime juice, whatever. So either 1/3 of a cup of juice, or if you have the concentrate like me, again, I'm going to put in a teaspoon of the lemon or lime juice. And what we're going to do is heat this up, bring it to a boil, and then reduce the heat and let it cook for 20 to 25 minutes, so that what we have is some chunks of apples and squash all cooked together with this great aroma of cinnamon and spices with ginger. And then we're going to take 2 cups, I'm thinking, at a time, and put it into, you can use a blender, but I have one of those NutriBullets because I like smoothies for breakfast. And we have to puree it really good, till it's nice and smooth. So I'm going to get this on the stove to boil, and I'll be back after it's ready to put into the NutriBullet. There's always somebody new joining me, and one of the things, I know it's all controversial right now, but I still have an old gas stove. It's a Windcraft. I've had it, my goodness, so many years. So I'm going to use that. That's the only real stove I have. Be back in about 20-25 minutes. Okay, I think our soup to be here is about ready to take off of the burner. Gonna bring it over here, and you can see our cooked apples and our cooked squash, and the juice is in there too, but it wants to go to the edge. My NutriBullet has a maximum line right there, which I'm estimating to be 2 cups, but whatever your blender will hold without going up over, because this is hot, is what you want to put into it. It can be a combination of the juice and the apples and squash. There's my line. Can go a little bit more. By the way, this is going to yield about 6 servings. Now, I don't know if my husband will eat it or not, but if he does, great. That's 3 meals. If he does not, I can freeze it and have 6 meals, or I can share it with some friends. So let me go puree this, and we'll be back. Well, I'm used to making smoothies, and I usually have them in the NutriBullet for anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. So I just did 60 seconds on the soup to be sure that it's pureed good. And I'm going to just pour this into my extra bowl for a few minutes so I can puree the rest of it. Oh, it looks wonderful. Okay, let's go puree this one. Alrighty. Oh boy, does it look good. Now, I've got to give my plug for PA Preferred Milk. I happen to have Swiss Premium Dairy, which is bottled right here in Lebanon County. We have lots of farmers under contract with both them and Harrisburg Dairies, actually. But it calls for 1 cup of either milk or half and half, something like that. I guess if you go with heavy cream, it's your calories, not mine. Then we want to stir this up. We just want to cook it on low for maybe 10 minutes and let it simmer a little bit. We don't want to boil that milk or it'll curdle. All right, it looks wonderful. We'll be back to taste the final product. Okay, I'm back. The soup is ready to try. And again, we can have about 6 servings. So here is mine. You can do a couple of things. It's good just like this, but eye appeal is so important. So a dollop, as they say, of sour cream, which could be like a teaspoon or tablespoon is good. And then if you want to sprinkle some nuts on top, I'm going to set this down so I don't spill them. You can chop up some pecans, or I have some slivered almonds here. You know, just a little bit for decoration. And if you want, you can add a little piece of green, whatever, mint or whatever you're up to, and put that in there as well. Now, before I taste this, I'm going to tell you that if you like things a little sweeter, you can put in like a tablespoon of honey. That's wholesome and natural, so honey is good. And if you like salt, I always say salt to taste, because I did not add any salt into the soup because of the boiling, and seems to me I put something else in that was high in salt content, so I think that's enough salt, but you can add a teaspoon or a tablespoon of salt if you like. Then we're ready to give it a try. That is so good. You got to try it. Delicious.